Welcome to using multiple windows. We will discuss the following: opening windows, identifying the active window, adjusting windows manually, that is, resize, align, and toggle between them, adjusting windows via the taskbar, aligning windows via the taskbar, copying and pasting between open windows or Windows Explorers, as well as copying and pasting between open applications. We'll do this beginning with using shortcuts from the previous video. Windows key E. If I open Windows Explorer once, it's not hard to deal with. If I open Windows Explorer again, it becomes a little more cumbersome. I have to flip between the various windows. That means I'll have to move windows around left and right. As well, I'll have to recognize which window is currently active. It is not only recognized by it being the one in the front. With two windows, that's easy enough to tell. But with multiple windows, I'll open several more. It becomes a little more cumbersome. However, luckily enough, it comes right to the front to let us know it's the boss. It is the one we're currently working with. There is another easier way, and it is just to recognize that the title bar itself will be blue, whereas the others will remain a different color, normally gray unless you've changed the themes in Windows. We will close a couple of these windows. If I press Alt F4, it will close the currently active window. Alt F4, I now have two windows. I want to align these, so I can click on the title bar and drag the window over to the right. I've done that. I will now move my cursor to the bottom right hand corner, which will allow me to resize the window in any way I see fit, realizing of course that I need that right corner diagonal arrow. Alternatively, I could cause the diagonal arrow to appear on the other side. Anywhere the diagonal arrow appears means I can adjust at the same time horizontally and vertically. The good news is there's a much easier way. But for the purposes of this video, I will take a few seconds here to just align that window on the left to be around the same size as the one on the right. I have a bit of a problem. I'm taking a little while to get this job done. There's got to be a much easier way. Sure enough, there is. The point being, yes, you can manually adjust windows, but there's a much simpler way. Right here, right-click on the taskbar. There are a couple of options that appear here. One is horizontal and one is vertical alignment. I'm going to choose horizontal. You'll notice that the windows align horizontally, automatically occupying the desk. Well, that's pretty interesting. It may not be how I prefer to work, though, so I can right-click and say vertically. That makes a little more sense to me. On the left-hand side, I will look at my data folder. I will adjust the window a little bit so that I can see what the heck is in January. There's our January file. Should I have another file in here, I'll make one that doesn't belong. I'll make a new file, a new text file here, and I will call this one Feb to December. That clearly has some problem with that name, so I will have to name it again, txt. There it is, in the wrong folder. I can clearly see that I'm in the January folder looking at the January content and February to December content. Well, perhaps this needs to be in another location. On the right hand side of my desktop, I will make the other window active. I will expand the C drive, and I will move into data. Well, I've got January, I've got March, I've got February. Perhaps this February to December file should be moved out of the January folder. I will right-click on it and drag it over to the right-hand side, and I will move it here. It is no longer in the January folder. It, in fact, is in the in the data folder on the right-hand side. So we can see that by having two Windows Explorer windows open at the same time and aligned appropriately, we can perform our file management tasks quite simply. All we need to realize is we will be coming from somewhere to somewhere. If you right-click, when you're dragging, you will always be asked move or copy. So you can't go wrong. You've got to realize here, though, that that's only with two windows. We could have many more. The ability to function clearly in this manner will require that you have some control. Let me explain. If I've got several windows open, all resized to some other manner here, I'm going to resize these guys in a bunch of different ways. Well, what does this do for us? If I tried to now right click on the taskbar in an open space, so I have to sneak into the right hand side by the clock here, and I will say tile horizontally. Well, clearly this isn't a useful technique because now we have too many windows to tile. So you've got to realize that if I minimize this one and I minimize this one, when I right click and say tile horizontally or vertically, I will only tile the currently open windows on the desktop. So now we're back to a useful configuration. I will now take a few minutes to open a couple of applications. I'm right clicking on these open apps right now and closing them. I will choose Start Programs Accessories WordPad, Start Programs Accessories Notepad, very similar, two text editors. I will go Start Programs Accessories and we will use Paint. We now have 3 applications open. I will resize these windows so that we can see most of them all the time on our desktop. There we go. If I put some text in the Notepad window, text in Notepad, I can select the text in here. I can press Control A, Control C. I can toggle between my open apps. I'm going to go to WordPad and I can press Control V. I now have the ability not only to copy and move files using the Control X and the Control C and the Control V, but I have the ability to move text or content within files between the various files. There is something a little more interesting here. I'm going to go over to Paint and make a happy face. Now of course I'm just using this with the little tools on the left hand side here, the one that says pencil. Now that little guy doesn't look too happy, but he shouldn't be because I'm about to cut him out of there by selecting with the select box just for the purposes of showing working between open current applications. I will right click in the selected area and choose Copy. I will now go over to WordPad and I will paste. I've inserted a happy face, more or less, into WordPad, realizing of course that this text was copied from Notepad. I can't paste into Notepad any kind of an image. It only accepts text. That's why I chose WordPad. The point being, I can work between multiple open applications and copy content between them. Now, to be fair, if I made a sentence in here that said, this was written in WordPad, I should be able to select it, copy it, go to Notepad, as I have only selected text, and paste it. That's not a problem. If I tried to paste an image in here, it wouldn't work. So far we've discussed opening windows, identifying the active window, adjusting the windows manually. We can resize them, we can align them, we can toggle between them. We've talked about adjusting the windows through the taskbar by right-clicking on an open space and choosing horizontal or vertically aligning them. We can copy and paste between various Windows Explorer windows, that is, to move files and folders between Windows Explorer on the left and the right. We've also done copy and pasting between open applications, that is, taking text and an image from one and inserting it in another application. This concludes using multiple windows and transferring data between them.